Good morning. To start the week, let's take a look at what's happening in the markets with oil, gasoline, etc. More on Ruby Dollar. And Ralph Goodale says that we need to have more free trade with other countries. But first, I've been accused of being biased. Yeah, I've been saying that the whole time. See, just because I have a left-leaning bias doesn't mean that I'm not going to criticize the Liberal Party when they do something wrong. They are centrists, after all. I know many of you think they're communists, but that's because you don't know what a communist is. And many of you are quite upset because non-Canadians can sign up for the Liberal Party. Let's check the Conservative Party and see what their requirements are. I am a Canadian citizen or permanent resident of Canada, just like the Liberal Party. I don't hold membership in another federal party. I'm 14 years of age, etc., etc., etc. It's exactly the same. Knowledge is power. Maybe you should stop listening to those people that want to cultivate your rage and feed you misinformation. All right, let's kick it off the markets. As a Canadian, I love the color red, but it's a little concerning. Remember, hedge funds in the U.S. are expecting the Trump presidency to absolutely obliterate the market. Also, for those keeping track of the Tesla bubble, right there, January 2nd, that's when I said Tesla was in a bubble. It's over there in that dip right there. See, because it got to this peak, and I'm like, oh, Tesla's totally in a bubble because of all of this. And then it dropped, and I'm like, oh, people are going to buy the dip. So I made that video pointing out that Tesla's in a bubble. Tesla's down here now. It's got a long way to go before it gets rid of this bubble. And it was in a bubble before that. What's going on with gasoline and oil? Because that affects your everyday. Gasoline is still about 10% below where it was 1 year ago and falling. This is Brent crude. It's about the same thing there. And West Texas Intermediate, again, down below where it was 1 year ago. Now, it's the 1 year anniversary of the war in Ukraine, and 1 year ago, events in Ukraine helped spark a price increase in the world of oil. Also, there's a cyclical increase at this time of year. So this should go up. Should it go up as much as it did 1 year ago? I don't think so, but we'll see. The future is unwritten. All right, more on Ruby Dollar. Man, you guys are really upset that Ruby Dollar is not running for PM. I'm curious why. Like, personally, I think that bilingualism should be a prerequisite, and she wasn't bilingual, so that should disqualify her right off the start. What's going on? It's campaign finance violations. Her campaign spokesman, J.C. LaFontaine, said it's just 6 couples that just happen to use the same credit card to donate to the campaign. No big deal. Of course, the allegations go way beyond that, but even if that's true, it's still a violation. So, sorry. Now, Ruby Dollar herself said that it's all just a conspiracy. It's a plot so that the Liberals can push through their blue-eyed boy, Mark Carney. Let me ask, what's with the name calling? Like, since I'm being called biased quite often, I'll tell you what my problem with Pierre Poilievre is. It's the name calling. I don't like the sellout sing. I don't like the just inflation or the carbon tax Carney or carbon tax Christia. It doesn't fly with me. Like, I can't imagine this man going to another country and name-calling the leader of that other country if he has a disagreement. But it's all just very adolescent, and I can't see a world leader being successful doing that. And going to other countries and making deals is what Canada needs to do more now than ever before. Ralph Goodale was talking to CTV News and says that our free trade agreement with the UK is 99% tariff-free. Ralph Goodale described Canada's trading relationship with the UK as very good, citing a solid free trade agreement negotiated at the end of Brexit and implemented in the spring of 2021. He said 99% of it is tariff-free, and they're working on trying to get rid of that last 1%. And all over the EU, they're trying to get rid of barriers to trade. When questioned about the carbon tax, Mark Carney said he wants to get rid of the carbon tax and implement a carbon border adjustment, just like Europe. He wants to bring us in line with the EU. And the EU wants to get rid of as many carbon border levies as possible. The EU, like Canada, sees the risks of Donald Trump's tariff policy, and they want to get rid of trade barriers as much as possible. So if we work on that here, we get rid of inter-provincial trade barriers as much as possible. We have free trade with Europe, and they get rid of trade barriers as much as possible. We'll come out of this okay. And of course, we should absolutely positively avoid lashing ourselves to the mast of the sinking ship that is the United States. This isn't going to happen today, probably not going to happen this week or even this month, but it's going to happen. And the best thing for Canada is to be as disconnected from the U.S. as possible.